Shall we grab some samples?
We just found this guy in a ditch in the ground.
I saw something coming out from his nose.
Hellhole. Finally, I get to talk about the Addams Family movies. No, not the Addams Family movies, despite there being a ton of Wednesday stuff lately, thanks to Jenna Ortega, which, hey, check out my Beetlejuice 2 review, by the way. No, I'm talking about an actual family of filmmakers known as the Addams. They are rather prolific, having made 4 films since 2019. They've made films before, but that was when they first started getting into basically a film a year, so pretty interesting, with Hellhole being their most recent release. I really need to get into the background here with this family because it just cannot be understated how much of a triumph it is for indie films and low-budget filmmaking and labors of love for this family to find such success with their work. They are upstate New York natives, so maybe they have some money, but hey, low budget filming is cool, and it's really cool to see how they can get so many people on board with these movies. All of the Addams Family films are extremely low budget, being written, directed, starred in, and even having the sound mixed by the family themselves. The Addams consist of husband and wife Toby Poser and John Addams, along with their daughters Lulu and Zelda. This film is the only one that doesn't star one of their daughters, although Lulu did have a writing credit along with her parents. They probably couldn't have been in this one given it was shot on location in Serbia, which I don't know the current political climate in Serbia, but yeah, I can kind of understand why they didn't go with that one. Now, before I get into the meat of the review, I do have to say that I am an Addams Family Pictures fan, so I might be a little bit biased. I've seen 3 out of their 4 films now, and I can safely say that they have a very unique yet niche style. Their films won't be for everyone, but they are still a lot of fun. They are a low budget and art house in a lot of ways, and their stories, again, aren't for everyone, but they will always be entertaining. I do think my favorite film of theirs is their first, 2019's The Deeper You Dig, which is about a man who has to live with the guilt after taking a young life. It is a very slow and moody film, but it does have some fantastic shots and some great makeup effects and just some really good acting here. Wonderful first shot there. Their second movie was 2021's Hellbender, which is more of a coming-of-age story tinged with witches and learning to let go. I did like that one as well, but it definitely has a more niche audience. It's still horror-focused, but a different kind of story. The one movie of theirs that I haven't seen is 2023's Where the Devil Roams, which is about a family of murderous carnies. I didn't know that one actually came out, probably because it's only on Tubi and Amazon Prime. Which, okay. All the other films are on Shudder, so that's weird. I'll probably check it out eventually because I do like their stuff so much, so it's definitely something that's on my radar. Another fun tidbit that shows up in Hellhole is that the family produces their own music and soundtracks as well. They're in a family metal rock band, and while John Addams is credited for the music in Hellhole, both performing and editing, and also does the music in a lot of the other movies, I believe the entire family plays together a lot, as shown in Hellbender specifically. Where the mother and daughter in that are in their own little band together. The music is a standout for a Hellhole, punctuating quite a few moments of violence. I really like that, just because it's fun to have this rock beat suddenly come in when people start exploding. Speaking of, Hellhole is a bit of a departure from the family's usual films. Like I said, not including their daughters for one, but also because this film is a straight up monster movie and not an introspective art house flick. So if that's the case, what is this movie even about then? Hellhole follows an American fracking team working on a site in Serbia when they accidentally discover a man infected with a strange tentacle-y parasitic creature that starts to jump hosts one by one, leaving bloody explosions in its wake, and bloody tentacles. As in a departure from the other Addams Family films I've seen, this one doesn't take itself too seriously. That being said, it does still lean heavily into having several metaphors and morals it wants to talk about through not just the monster, but the characters as well. Toby Poser plays the lead foreman who doesn't seem like she wants to do fracking, but was forced into it to pay the bills after her previous environmentalist efforts caved in. Honestly, she's a really fun character overall, but I wish she was given more to do. She is the main character, and it's fun to follow her reactions to all this while still staying rather stoic, but having a soft spot for her son. It's just really cool. I just wish it was explored a bit more. John Adams plays a side character named John, who is more fun to watch be aggressive for no apparent reason other than to be aggressive. I don't know, masculinity issues? So he's a fun enough catalyst to watch what happens. Right away, you'll be able to see just how low budget this movie is, with minimally decorated sets, minimal lighting, etc. Like, some shots are very obviously color corrected in post, for example, but it doesn't look bad, I'd say, far from it, and the film does have some great cinematography moments, but nothing as stand out as some of the scenes from Deeper You Dig and Hellbender, specifically the dream sequences and hallucinations. Those are kind of missing from this one, which sucks. It has an interesting opening, but that's about it. Some other aspects are more obvious, like when a person explodes into meaty chunks. Instead of having it fully on screen, they'll show some footage of throwing splatter onto a tree or a wall. It's enough to get the job done. The effects in general are a little interesting, especially for this movie. The makeup design is all phenomenal, especially for the low budget. There's some fun gore effects and the meaty bits look good and juicy. I love that. The monster itself is a bit more decisive. Whenever it's on screen fully, it is a practical puppet with moving eyes and mouth and stuff, and all of that looks great. Really gross and disgusting, so it's a lot of fun to look at. But whenever the monster is a tentacle pushing out of an orifice, specifically the face, whether it's an eye or an ear or a nose or mouth or whatever, it looks strange. The tentacles in these moments are supposedly stop motion, as shown in the credits, but they look a lot like bad CGI, and I'm not sure how that's the case. Or maybe they were superimposed stop motion tentacles put over the actors so that they could pop out of their eyes and noses, but I don't think it fit very well. If it looked more like stop motion, I'd be down for it, but just viewing it, it looks very much like bad CGI. And I'm not the only one to think that, with the complaints of shoddy CGI being one of the main grievances reviewers had. I'll applaud the Addams for using practical effects always instead of cheap CGI. Practical is always better unless it physically cannot be done, but I wish it looked just a little bit more like stop motion. Again, I'm not sure if this is really stop motion or if it's just shoddy CG. The credits say it's stop motion, but there's nothing in there to really have me believe it. So I'll go with what the credits say, but it does look weird. Take that for what it's worth. Otherwise, the only real gripe I have with this movie is that it's just okay. The story is decent, focused on a real animal to base the monster off of, which I always love, but it also seemed like the movie knew what it wanted to say, but couldn't properly articulate it. The excuse was clearly fun over substance, with an extended monster hunting scene resulting in a ton of fun deaths, but I wish it took itself just a little more seriously in the more serious moments. I wanted to explore Poser's character more, especially her past. It's set up in a really interesting way that makes you question why she's so jaded and doing fracking when she knows it's bad and clearly doesn't want to do it, but feels like she has to. She's a really good, no-nonsense character with layers that I just wanted to see more of that and learn why she was like this. Otherwise, I think the movie is just okay. It's not as art house or niche like the other Addams Family films, but that's about it. If I were to make the film better, I would probably need to make it just a little longer and explore more of Poser's backstory. This is a 90-minute film, so it'd be pretty easy to add maybe 5 or 10 minutes so that we could explore that a bit more. Maybe that'd be able to put a tragic spin on the movie as well, which the film seems to want to go for with the climax, but it just couldn't quite reach that kind of tone. Compared to the other 2 films I've seen from the family, I definitely think this is the weakest one, but I also think it's the most accessible. It's much more straightforward and way more fun than the others, so I'd say it's a good jumping off point before watching the rest of their catalog. The Deeper You Dig is still my favorite for its slow pace, haunting visuals, great story, and acting. But this is definitely a fun time if you just want to see people explode into meaty chunks and get stuffed with tentacles. I've seen enough hentai to know where that's going. I'm definitely excited to see what the family has in store next, and I do want to reiterate that this is an extremely low-budget film. All of their movies are. They are literally labors of love, and I would love to see what this family could do with a big Hollywood budget, or maybe even something like Damien Leone's budget, which isn't big, but look at all the practical shit he can do with Art the Clown. Come on! More people should watch and appreciate low-budget indie horror. I think the last one I reviewed was Moon Garden, which had an entire dream world literally made in a basement. So, homegrown horror at its finest. Give these movies a watch, even if you're remotely interested in them. All 3 movies are available on Shudder, while Where the Devil Roams is on Tubi and Amazon Prime. But ultimately, Hellhole gets a 7 out of 10 from me. Hey guys, thanks for sticking around for another one. I was wondering when I'd be able to talk about the Addams Family here. I loved Deeper You Dig. I thought Hellbender was interesting and unique. Not really for me, but I can see a lot of people liking it, so I think it's a fine movie. I'm very curious about Where the Devil Roams, because the story synopsis I've read just seems kind of okay. Like, what the hell, it's just murderous carnies, but supposedly it's also very art house, very slow, very methodical, and has some dream sequences and hallucinations as well, which is what I really like from the other 2 movies. So I'll probably give that a watch later. I'm not sure when. There's a few other good movies coming out lately. I know there's the new Halle Berry movie, Never Let Go, which I'm very interested in. I hope it gets good reviews. If it does, I'll go check it out, give you my thoughts on it. I'm curious about the Speak No Evil remake, even though the original was 2 years ago, so a bit of a weird jump there. I don't know. As for low-budget indie horror, I don't really see a lot outside of shorts. Crypt TV doesn't really do anything anymore, which I might have a video about that later. There's a very interesting reason why they don't anymore, but whatever. Crypto sucks. How about that? Anyway, what do you guys think? Is there any indie horror movies that you think I should check out? Let me know in the comments below. After that, don't forget to like the video, subscribe, ring that bell so you don't miss a video. Really helps me grow. And yeah, that's it. Have a great day, and if you're not, have a better one. See ya.
I'm just a ghost in your stereo. The fading memory of a shipwreck in the undertow. You're just a lost soul. And I'm just a ghost in your stereo.